So many people in this world think that what they do doesn't matter, what they say doesn't matter, but it does. You don't know what you say to somebody that could actually hurt them or help them. At the end of the day, a lot of people don't talk about their feelings due to, well, at least we used to not talk about our feelings due to the idea that it's not cool to talk about your feelings. Um, Another thing is it's an embarrassment too. I mean, it's an embarrassment factor for someone to have an issue with something, say depression. They don't want to talk about it because it's something they think that they should have to handle on their own, and nobody should have to deal with their struggles. But I'm gonna be the first to tell you that that's not true at all. I'm not gonna say necessarily true. That's not true at all. Because at the end of the day, everything that you're going through, we're going through too, right? Because we're your friends, we're your family. If you go through depression and you cut everybody off, you're literally cutting us off. So we got to figure out what's going on, what's wrong with you. Try to be open, like try to be open and honest, and understand that getting help is not a bad thing. Everybody needs help. I think everybody in this world needs therapy. I think everybody in this world, doesn't matter who you are, even therapists. I think everybody needs therapy, some type of therapy. Some people um, think otherwise. Some people think that therapy is not a good. It's not all it's cracked up to be. But I believe that getting things off your chest, being able to talk to people, allowing people to help you is very important. Now, let's get back to this whole idea about what you say and what you do. It actually matters, right? I am a person who likes to get feedback on films, right? So if I send or scripts or whatever I'm doing, right? If I send a script to somebody and they read it, right, and they're like, "Oh, bro, that's trash," right? And vice versa, they can say it's great. But if they're saying it's trash to be funny, right? It's like, yo, like I'm putting a lot of time and effort into this. I want you to actually tell me your true opinion. Don't just tell me it's trash. Tell me why it's trash, right? Don't just say it's trash and walk away, or make fun of it, right? Tell me what doesn't make sense, what's wrong with it. I'm asking for feedback, right? Because the reason why I've given you the chance to read this script is because what your opinion is matters to me. So what you do and what you say matters. Your body language matters. But at the same time, I don't want you to sit there and have to walk around on eggshells when you're talking to me. So what people don't understand is that you have a responsibility, right? Your responsibility is if I trust you with something, I want honest feedback. And then you have the other side of it too. One of the reasons why I always say, like, if you want feedback from somebody, you got to at least three people. You need one person in your industry that you're in. You need one person who is an audience of that industry, and then someone who is going to be the tiebreaker, right? It could be from any walks of life. It could be another. It could be another person in the arts from a different medium, or someone completely out of the arts. Like, for instance, for me, right, when I write a script, I let the three people I let read my script is my wife, for one. She's not in the industry, but she will tell me if there's something wrong or something doesn't make sense. Another person is one of my trusted advisors, um, and they are actually an instructor at a university. And then I let a local filmmaker, well, slash producer, she's really a producer, um, read my script. And they all give me information, right? And I take everything with, I don't take everything personally unless it's a bad note, right? If you just say on page 7, that's stupid, like, don't just say that's stupid. Like, tell me why it's stupid. Because somebody else might say on page 7, I didn't understand why X, Y, Z, right? Okay, so now that I know that one person said it's stupid, the other person says I don't understand it, that means something's wrong there. Something's not clicking from before. So how do I make that? And we're talking specific to film scripts right now, but how do I fix that, right? So do I go back early? Do I take it out completely, right? Or do I go back earlier and mention it, or some type of way foreshadow to it, or make it make sense? So when I first started filmmaking, right, I could not stand getting feedback. When I was at college, I did things the way I wanted it to be done. I shot my films, I edited them. When I was happy with them, I wanted to turn them in and be done. I get feedback, I was upset, right? And that was because I was young and I felt like I was very motivated to get things done. I was very motivated to make these films. And the stuff was like, you're killing my creativity. Like this idea that creativity can be killed by somebody else, right? It can't. You cannot kill, somebody else cannot kill your creativity, right? And now that I'm older and I'm in a master's degree project and I'm thinking about it, it's like looking at everything, how my script has evolved because I spent so much more time in this process creating. Like, so let me go ahead and tell you my final project in this master's degree program I'm doing. It's 15 pages long right now. When I first started writing it, it was 25 pages. I was like super stoked about it. I liked everything about it. They ripped my script apart. First, they did it because of the grammar and punctuation, obviously. But then they started really like nitpicking and poking and prodding at specifics of my script that, one, it didn't make sense at first, but then after looking at it 2 weeks later and getting back into it, it's like, okay, I can understand where you're saying this is that and this is that. How do I change that? So what I did was I took everybody's notes and I said, hey, okay, he said that this makes this person look like they're on a soapbox, right? And they are a, how do I put it, a spokesperson for a race. Because originally he was saying that I like what you've gotten so far. These people are relatable because it's real life. It's not fake, this, that, and the other, because everybody does. So for instance, I'll give you a preference. The film that I'm shooting is basically, it's got two couples, right? It's got, well, not two couples, it's got a single couple, and they're dealing with it. And it's like, they have kids. One thing that a lot of people don't understand is that you don't like to fight in front of your kids, right? Your kids don't want to see that. You should not let your kids see you guys arguing. Well, that can be a negative thing. Well, if you're away from the kids, what do? You can actually get and have actual conversations that might turn out to be arguments, but actually have full-on conversations about everything you're feeling. Because you're going to get mad at each other. You're going to say and do things that you don't want to say and do. And it's like all because everything's been pent up. Now, they love that part, but then it got to a part where it was talking about social injustice, right? And they just kind of like, the character fell off there. What do you mean? I don't believe this character anymore. And for me, it was like, yo, I get to finally say something about social injustice, something I've been trying to do for the last like 2 years, right? I finally got it, right? And I was like, I was devastated when they said that. But then I started looking at it from their standpoint, right? As a person in this situation, would this actually happen? Now, we have all had conversations about social injustice and what we think about it, right? We all know how we feel about it. The thing is, though, I'm married to a white woman, and she's married to me. So if I did not know how she felt about it, like this is the first time it's happened, right? Then, okay, it's one thing. Because I remember the first time it really went mainstream was with Eric Gardner. He was choked out for selling cigarettes after stopping a fight. That really attacked me personally, and it just mentally screwed me up. My wife was there for it. We were dating at the time, but she was there for it. So she understands. That's something I don't have to talk to her about. She knows how I feel about it. She knows how, and I know how she feels about it, because if that was me, she would be husbandless with no kids, or with the kids, right? The kids would not have a father, right? It's one of those things where it's an unspoken thing that we don't have to really say out in public. And if we speak out on it, right? I'm not saying don't speak out on it, but I'm saying if we speak out on it, especially using our mediums, we need to do it in the right way. And so, though, the one thing that was really stuck out to me when we were talking about this was, she says everybody's having this conversation. Everybody's having this conversation already. We don't need to hear it again. As in, we need to hear it, but we don't need to hear it again, right? Because everybody's talking about it. Everybody's saying things about it, this and the other. And at first I didn't get it. She's like, well, put it in your mise en scène, which means put it in the environment and how you have everything set up, right? So the idea of separation of ideas, right, is going to be shown based off of the distance and how these characters are acting and interacting with each other during this time, but also it's going to be different when it comes to contrast, right? Black and white. And it's like, it's going to have a political theme behind it, but it's not going to be smack dab in your face. And it kind of reminds me of how I feel about Christian rap, right? I'm a big, huge fan of the 116 crew from Atlanta, like the Lecraes, the Trip Lees, the Andy Mineos. Trip Lee used to put raps out about like using the Bible and all that type of stuff, and it was like directly in your face. This was in the Bible, blah blah blah. But I felt like I actually related to Andy Mineo more because he was talking about physical things that were happening to him, right? Things in his mind, things in like his reality of the source. It wasn't going to the Bible every 5 seconds and putting out something, some type of scripture, right? He's talking about the idea that his dad wasn't around when he was growing up, right? At the same time, my older brother wasn't around, right? So I felt like me and him had I had a connection to his music because of that, right? But then there's other things too, like the idea of getting married. Everybody was like, oh, like, get ready. Only one person was like, this is going to be great. You're going to love it, right? I was in a similar situation. Everybody's like, oh, bro, you get married. Why would you do that? Blah, blah, blah. Everybody's downplaying marriage like it's a negative and terrible thing when actually, to be honest with you, I haven't had really any bad moments. My marriage has given me my kids. I've had some moments where obviously had moments where we don't disagree, we don't agree on things, we disagree in argument and stuff like that. But it's a relationship. That's what we do. But at the same time, it's like I wouldn't trade it for the world. But this is the one thing a lot of people don't understand is that what people say and what people do matter. Because if you say that you are too busy to hang out with somebody or too busy to work on a project, and then you turn around and do a project, right? The way that your first impression of somebody isn't normally a physical reaction. It's normally a mental reaction from what somebody says. To be honest with you, everybody says that when they go out on a date, their first impression is what the person looks like. And that might be what they think, right? But if I went on a date with somebody wearing a t-shirt and jeans, and they didn't even give me a chance to say anything to them, and that's what they predicated off, what type of person are they? You see what I'm saying? I'm wearing a t-shirt and jeans, and they're wearing a dress. And they say, "Oh no, bro! You're wearing t-shirts and jeans. I can't go. This is a nice restaurant. This and the other." But it's almost like the gold digger theory, right? The one person, I know you've probably seen it on YouTube, where the people are like, "Hey, how you doing? Blah blah. I just want to talk," and they're like, "Nah, bro, I'm good." Blah blah blah. And the next thing you know, they have a Lamborghini, or they have a brand new Corvette, and now all of a sudden they have money. Now it's like, okay, well, boom. The thing is, though, it's the same thing here. If I show up with jeans and a t-shirt and you just write me off because of what I'm wearing, you haven't even heard me say anything, then what type of person are you? Their first impression is normally going to be based off of, your first thought is going to be off of what you see. But your first impression, meaning the person that leaves an impression on you, right, is going to be based off of what people are talking about and what they say. So words, even though they say sticks and stones can break my bones, but words may never hurt you. But the thing is, though, words are really, really strong. That's why they say a tongue is sharper than a two-edged sword, because what you say is very, very strong. Somebody tells me, yo, bro, you're ugly, right? That's going to affect me, even if he's joking. Like, my brother will always say, all right, big ugly. For no reason, right? He doesn't think I'm ugly, obviously. That's just what he calls me, as being funny, right? But at the same time, it's like if I did not understand what type of person my brother was, or even if I hadn't heard him say it before, right? And especially if I was younger, right? If this happened when I was like 13, 11 years old, right? And he called me that, right? Especially in the time around puberty. Like I've grown up enough, obviously, because I'm in my 30s, to understand that when some people are saying things as a joke versus some people that are saying things as real. Like, and the thing is though, it also matters who it's coming from. If my brother says, "All right, Big Ugly," that's my brother. We have a different type of relationship, right? But if my wife said it, now we have an issue. If somebody I don't know says it, now we have an issue, right? It's like, wait, am I ugly? Like, for real? So first impressions are in what you say and what you do. It really matters. And let me get into the what you do part. So body language also is a very, very big tell of who you are and what you do, right? Body language can tell you if somebody's upset. Like you don't have to speak. And we have a saying. We have a saying in film. It's show don't tell, right? So try to push the emotion of the story or whatever through acting, through actual physical showing of a whatever versus saying I'm mad, right? Just show it by the facial expression or by the response of how he or she reacts to something that's being said, right? It's the same thing in human nature. It's one of the things. One of the things I've kind of realized is that like liberal studies, which is what I'm doing, a master's in liberal studies with the concentration focus in narrative filmmaking. It's an interesting thing because you really start to look at people for what they are as people, right? The human mind is it's very interesting because it could be manipulated very easily. Like the mind's like a computer. We're not necessarily ones and zeros, but it's like we have this thing called feelings that doesn't work with logic. Like I can feel something, but logically it might be stupid, right? For example, we'll go back to last week's talk about Will Smith and Chris Rock. But the logical feeling is, yo, Will shouldn't have done that. He shouldn't have done that. The logical feeling is, or the logic is Will shouldn't have done that. The logic is Chris Rock shouldn't have made the joke. That's the logic, right? The feeling is, yo, Will was right for that one because of this, right? Like you messing with my wife's feelings, we about to scrap. But logically, that don't make no sense, especially when you got money like that, right? Because you can sue and you can mess up your entire career. But at the same time, you look at Chris Rock's side. Logically, that would be dumb because Chris Rock doesn't have a career like Will Smith. So logically, the jokes could have ended up being the end of his career. And then feeling though, it's like, yo, you got what you deserve, bro. Like that's what you deserved. You should have been slapped. I feel like it was all Chris Rock's fault, and he's in the wrong. But at the same time, I feel like it was right for Will to do it. However, logically, Will Smith is in the wrong. Logically, he should not have physically touched the guy. But at the same time, logically, Chris Rock is in the wrong too because now he might lose everything because of the fact that he attacked somebody's condition, which is not okay for comedians. So what you say and what you do matters. We are human beings. We are complex. We're not robots, right? Robots don't have feelings until they're AI, then they might. So this thing that we are, this flesh and blood and liquid and guts and whatever, right? And with the heart, we are very complex people. We're not the same. Not a single person is exactly the same. It's the reason why you can have twins and they become completely different people. Or even to the point where you have three people that grew up from the same parents in the same exact household and they act completely different. For example, my two younger brothers, they're completely different than me. One is like very conservative, and the other one is he's very liberal, but he doesn't. There's other aspects of life that doesn't make sense with me and my family, right? I'm a needle, right? I go between left and right depending on who's doing what and who's saying what and what. So my political views are way different. And they just sway depending on who's in office and who's saying what. So, but the thing is though, it's not just political. It's literally like family life and all this type of stuff as well. We're all different in different ways. Even though we came up in the same household, grew up the same way, our experience are going to be completely different, especially after you graduate from high school. When you graduate from high school, you go to college, or you go to whatever and do whatever you want. You move out, but people are going to experience like things that happen to them way differently than other people. My youngest brother, doesn't believe that that black people are victims of circumstance. Like they're not victims of circumstance. He also doesn't believe. I think he's changed his mind a little bit. But I remember the first time he told me that slavery had no had no like part of the way that he like the whole system is. But at the same time, it's like, okay, well, if you look at it, and now I think he believes now that it does, that there is issues that stem from not racism, slavery that we still have in the black community. Because at first, I think he was thinking about himself and not the whole entire community as a whole. Slavery even though it's been a long time since slavery was abolished. The thing is, though, there's a lot of things that have been passed on down the generations. Because think about it, if you learn something from your great-great-great-grandfather, you're not going to know that you learned it. It's going to be taught. Like your great-great-grandfather taught your great-great-grandfather. Your great-grandfather taught your grandfather. Your grandfather taught your dad. In other words, in order for things to be different, you have to change. One of the greatest things that my father could have done was gone into the Marines. Because it got him out of his situation. It gave me and my brothers a better life. We were able to look at things differently and realize that even though slavery does affect us, we can be the change for that too. So what you do, what you say matters. And this is the biggest thing, because I think that we often do this we don't do this enough, right? Tell the people in your life that they're important. Tell the people in your life that you love them. And it's not a gay thing or anything like that. If you love somebody, just tell them you love them. Like, I love my bros, bro. Like, because at the end of the day, they're not going to hear you say it when they're gone. You see what I'm saying? Give them their roses now. Let them know that you appreciate them. And so that way, because you never know. That might be the difference between somebody committing suicide. Because you don't know what people are going through behind closed doors, right? Unless they tell you, you don't know what they're going through behind closed doors. So, that being said, give people their roses now. Tell them how you feel. Tell them, hey, yo, love you, bro. You matter, right? Because if you don't talk about it and somebody commits, so you probably wonder where this part kind of comes from. So recently, I had a friend from high school, and he died. I don't know exactly how he died. I'm pretty sure it's suicide because nobody's really talking about it. But also, he's also had PTSD. So it doesn't surprise me if it was suicide. But at the same time, it's like thinking about that, right? How many times could I have seen that person and just said, "Yo, bro, what's up, man? Miss you. You matter," right? At the same time, it's like, how many times do you hear that, right? The question always comes, if I would have said something to this person, right, and it said, "Yo, bro, keep doing your thing. Keep your head up, bro. We love you." Would he still be here today? You know? So, like I said, what you say and what you do matters. Tell people now. Give them their flowers now. Let them know that they're important. That they're not just a waste of time and space.